Live from Citizen TV, this is Tonight with Sam Gituku.
Hello there, and it's good to see you. Happy New Year 2026, and welcome to the very first bulletin of the year, that is tonight, as we begin the coverage for the year 2026. Of course, Data Point and News Gang are still on a short season's break. We'll be back soon, but first, here are the top stories tonight.
Many households are under severe pressure. High taxation, high interest rates, the cost of electricity, and relentless borrowing are squeezing families and businesses alike.
Make life better for Kenyans in 2026. Anglican Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit slams government and asks it to do better for Kenyans. Kenyans usher in the new year with festivities around the country amid expressions of hope for a better year.
Tumepiga fireworks 38 today. That's around like 1 hour from midnight all the way to 1 a.m.
Spectacular displays and booming sound. How Kenyans are increasingly embracing fireworks to celebrate important occasions.
Our constitution already has a presidential candidate for our party. And that presidential candidate is clearly stated in the constitution of our party. And it is the party leader.
I will be ODM presidential candidate if it gets to that. Oburu Oginga draws the line in early warning to opponents in ODM. Happy New Year again. Our sign language interpreter is Yola Nzale. Tonight, the Anglican Church of Kenya is accusing the government of pushing Kenyans to the wall, warning that in the thick of political contests, Kenyan households are living in dire straits. Speaking during the New Year church service at the All Saints Cathedral, Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit said corruption and the high cost of living continue to weaken Kenya's economic foundation. And as Emily Chebet now reports, the clergy from other churches joined in calling for peace at a time when politics is taking center stage ahead of the 2027 general election.
In a loaded New Year message at the All Saints Cathedral, Bishop Jackson Ole Sapit launched a stinging critic of the government over what he termed as overburdening citizens.
While some indicators appear stable, many households are under severe pressure. High taxation, high interest rates, the cost of electricity, and relentless borrowing are squeezing families and businesses alike. Corruption continues to weaken our economic foundation.
The Anglican Archbishop raising concern over what he said is erosion of constitutional order and calling on the church and Kenyans at large to protect the constitution.
Attentiveness to God requires moral clarity about stewardship, accountability, and justice. It means refusing to normalize the weakening of our institutions when constitutional safeguards are bypassed, when oversight bodies are sidelined, and when public finance is moved outside legal control, the nation is put at risk.
While questioning that Kenya is entering a dangerous season of political division 19 months to the general election, Ole Sapit called for tolerance and meaningful engagement with all Kenyans.
To be attentive to God's voice in this season means standing for Kenya's itself, for what is right, what is just and righteous, even when that stand is inconvenient. It means paying serious attention to our young people. Ours is one of the youngest nations on earth, yet many of our youth feel excluded from economic opportunities, meaningful participation, and national decision-making.
Archbishop Ole Sapit defended the role of the church in national discourse, rejecting any attempt to control the institution by the state.
Faith must never be controlled by the state, even as crime is addressed through the law. The church stands for self-regulation, accountability, and the dignity of belief.
At the Holy Family Basilica, Archbishop Philip Anyolo of the Diocese of Nairobi stressed on the importance of peace, love, and unity among Kenyans.
Go forth in peace and become the peacemakers yourselves. Because in the Beatitudes they say, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will see the Lord face to face.
In Machakos and Busia counties, the clergy warned Kenyans against political manipulation and called for a tolerant political season.
Let us reject divisions and violence and work together for peace and the progress of this nation.
Huu mwaka ndio tumaini letu, ndio matarajio yetu ya kwamba mwaka ambao tunaingia iwe ni mwaka ambao kutakuwa na urahisi katika biashara.
As the new year begins, the church is calling on Kenyans to reflect on the previous year and learn from its challenges and achievements. The clergy is calling on leaders and Kenyans alike to embrace unity, peace, and dialogue over division. As the festive season comes to an end, large numbers of Kenyans flocked to public parks, recreational grounds, and entertainment spots across major towns to make the most of the final holiday moments. Families, friends, and revelers were seen gathering in open spaces and social venues. The outings also provided a brief escape from the economic pressures experienced over the past year. Amid the relaxed atmosphere, the strong sense of optimism prevailed, with numerous Kenyans expressing hope that the new year will bring improved financial stability, better job opportunities, and relief from the high cost of living. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV.
And Kenyans from all walks of life ushered the year 2026 with great joy and splendor. In Nairobi City, thousands gathered at iconic locations such as the Uhuru Gardens, the National Archives buildings, and the KICC, where fireworks lit up the Nairobi skyline as music and cheers filled the air. While outdoor celebrations burst with energy, churches offered a moment of reflection and prayer with messages of hope and new direction following a mixed fortune year 2025. Oda Francis was there.
By 8:30 p.m., crowds began streaming into Nairobi's iconic sports Uhuru Park. Archives and KICC. All transformed into celebrations hub. And when the clock struck midnight, fireworks, music filled the air, and voices rose in praise and jubilation as Kenyans welcomed 2026 with hopeful hearts. In churches, in entertainment venues, atmosphere was similar. Messages from the pulpit were not just for the faithful, but for the nation's conscience, a call to people, the government, and the political class.
This is not the right time to talk about, amending the 2010 Constitution. But this is the right time to fully implement the 2010 Constitution to the latter.
Serikali waweze kusimama na wale wawekezaji wadogo, those small medium enterprise, kwa sababu hapo ndio watu wengi wako, ili na kazi yetu kama kanisa iwe rahisi, ili tusiwe pesa zetu na maombi yetu yote inaelekezwa kwa watu walio na njaa.
Drug and substance abuse is a serious menace to our young ones, whereby we need to put synergy from the parent level and administration level.
When the clock struck midnight, the message was clear. 2026 must be different.
Naona tulikuwa maandamano, wenzetu wakapoteza maisha, tuliobaki tunaenda kushukuru Mungu. At least next year kusitokee maandamano, tukue na amani.
Tunatarajia tu tupate do 2026. Tumekuwa na changamoto ya pesa 2025 sana.
Nilikuwa nimepoteza wera, sikuwa na job, na familia pia ilikuwa changamoto, lakini Nashukuru God alikam through na au kasongo atatuumiza vile pia vile.
Yet the fireworks and celebrations brought the city to a standstill, with motorists stopping wherever they were to witness and be part of the historic ushering in of the year. Despite the challenges, the transition into 2026 was largely peaceful and calm under tight security, with police officers deployed across every part of Nairobi city.
Now, as we usher in a new year, Kenyans anticipate unity, peace, and a future free from violence. Happy 2026. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Indeed, Happy New Year to you too, Ode Francis. And amidst this pomp and color during the New Year's celebrations that were characterized by illustrious display of fireworks globally, did you know what it takes and the due process to follow before launching these explosive pyrotechnic devices into the skyline in Kenya? We take a look at the rise and rise of fireworks in celebrations in the country at a time a family in Gitaru, Kiambu County, lost their home in an inferno which is suspected to have been caused by mishandling of fireworks instruments. Safina Chengoma reports.
From Australia to the United States of America and the United Arab Emirates, where the night sky lit up with a breathtaking combination of thousands of drones and record-breaking fireworks, the script of ushering the new year was the same. Kenyans too are increasingly embracing fireworks to celebrate key days on the calendar. What is believed to have originated from the ancient China over 2,000 years ago as a ritual to ward off evil spirits using flames of bamboo stalks has now morphed into a tradition in marking important celebrations globally. What was once a preserve of the rich in the big cities is now becoming a norm across the country. Other Kenyans did not even need the grandeur of high-end hotels hosting mega-end-year parties to join in the thrill of fireworks, which were heard crackling even in private spaces in residential areas and deep in the villages, some hearing its sound for the first time. A firework is a pyrotechnic device containing explosive or flammable chemicals designed to produce spectacular displays of light and sound. Due to its visual, auditory, and emotional impact, it has gained popularity in important celebrations like Christmas, New Year's Eve, and other festivals like Diwali.
Tumepiga fireworks 38 today. That's around like 1 hour. From midnight all the way to 1 a.m.
It's a moment. Yani inakufanya ufeel venye tu unafaa ufeel that first, you get.
What many do not know is the risk involved when launching these devices without proper caution. A family in Gitaru, Kiambu County, has begun the year on a sad note after their house was razed down when their child allegedly lit a firework while inside.
Ilikuwa hapo kwa meza. Sasa akakisha hiyo yenye kulikuwa na kadogo Kenya alikuwa nako kumbe akishia huko bedroom. Sasa mimi nikasikia kitu ikifanya tu. Dakika kidogo tena nikasikia ingine. Harufu ya moshi, sasa nikaanza kusikia kitu inachomeka. Nikaingia jikoni kwanza, nikapata jikoni kukukilia. Sasa vile niliingia bedroom ndo nikapata mattress imeshika moto. Hatujui tutaanzia wapi, ndio mwaka imeanza. Yani sijielewi.
I think it's recommendable that the fireworks should be removed from the shelves so that we avoid children continuing buying them, and maybe they can go start experimenting.
Due to the safety concerns, Kenya has established an Explosives Act which prohibits the sale of fireworks to young children under the age of 13 years. Article 8 of the rules also states that no person shall hold a public fireworks display without consent of an inspector. dealers are also required to obtain a license and to have a clear display on their premises showing that they deal in fireworks. The defaulters can be penalized under the law. It is also recommended that fireworks should be prohibited near hospitals, educational institutions, courts, and other silence zones. These restrictions are necessary to avert excessive air and noise pollution, serious injuries, fire incidents, and panic, especially for the sick, the elderly, and pets. However, advisories from the concerned authorities and experts are hardly followed on the ground, prompting the need for aggressive awareness campaigns on this style of celebration and its impact. Safin Aching Oma, Citizen TV.
Now you know. Now, a family in Utange, Mombasa County, is demanding the arrest and prosecution of 2 police officers who allegedly shot dead their 14-year-old son minutes after the New Year crossover party. Dennis Ringa was in the company of 5 friends when the officers on motorbike tried to stop them. Out of panic, they ran off, only for one of the officers to open fire, ending the life of a grade 6 pupil who sat his KPSEA exam last year. Residents who witnessed the incident have demanded action from government, even as a human rights activists appeal for IPOA to intervene in the case. Gatete Njoroge reports.
A gloomy cloud hangs over Utange, Mombasa on the first day of 2026. Residents who were upbeat for the new year have been thrown into mourning when they congregated in their village to usher in 2026. Little did they know that few hours later, they would be demanding for justice after the life of a 14-year-old, Dennis Ringa, was taken away by a bullet. He was in the company of 5 friends relaxing outside after an evening of participating in lighting fireworks to mark the start of a new year when 2 police officers emerged.
Kuna polisi wawili walikuwa wametoka hiyo area ya juu, ya chini wanapanda juu. Wakaona wale vijana wamelala pale. Walikuwa vijana 6. Kulingana na wale vijana 6 walikuwa pale. Huyu ambaye amepigwa risasi Deno anasoma tu hapa Utange na ni class 6, amemaliza mwaka jana. Na amepigwa risasi sehemu ya nyuma mpaka ikatoka na mbele.
Hata mimi tulikuwa pamoja wakati akisherekea kupigwa mizinga, pia yeye alikuwa akichoma baruti. Badala hiyo saa 6 mimi nikarudi zangu nyumbani kuja pumzika, maana nilikuwa nimetoka kazini late. Kuja pumzika hivi muda si muda nikajaitwa kwamba mtoto wangu amepigwa risasi. Amefanya nini mtoto wangu?
Angered residents, some who witnessed the moment it all unfolded, say one of the officers was wearing a police uniform, while the other was in a civilian attire. They allege the one in official uniform pulled the trigger, killing Dennis instantly.
Hao watoto nimeona tukio huyu jamaa kabisa kaja hapo dirishani hapa kashuti hiyo bunduki yake hapo dirishani kwangu. Kwa kweli liniuma sana na sikujua huyo mtoto maana alishuti kupitia huo mkono mwingine huko, sikujua amemshuti nani.
Amekosa nini mtoto ambaye bado ako mdogo sana? Nyenye ni watu wa kulinda ama ni watu wa kumaliza watoto wadogo? Asiyekuwa na hatia.
Human rights activists have demanded the arrest and prosecution of the 2 officers who took away Dennis' life even before getting his KPSEA results.
Hatutakubali hatua nyingine yoyote ikiwa sio hao polisi kushikwa na kuwekwa korokoroni. Kwa hivyo tunataka kuhakikisha kwamba IPOA, who have the responsibility of following up on police excesses, they do their job and they make sure that justice is done for Dennis.
The family, which recovered a used bullet cartridge, say they will not relent in their demands for answers ahead of a planned autopsy. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV.
Indeed, a very sad start to the new year for the family. Pope Leo XIV has called on the Catholic faithful to build a year of peace. Speaking at the Vatican during his New Year's message, the pontiff urged believers and all people of goodwill to reject violence in both global conflicts and everyday life, emphasizing that peace must begin with individuals, extend to families wounded by violence, and nations scarred by war. The Pope also highlighted that peace is a gift of God's unconditional love, calling for humility, perseverance, and genuine reconciliation. Reflecting on the past year, the Pope also encouraged the faithful to give thanks for blessings received in the Jubilee year 2025 and to entrust the coming year to God, acknowledging both joy and suffering. The Pope called on the faithful to remain pilgrims of hope despite the conclusion of the year 2025 centered on hope. This was Pope Leo's first New Year message since becoming pontiff following the death of Pope Francis in April 2025.
With support thanks to the Knights of Columbus for their worldwide satellite coverage of the Angelus today, just as they provided English,
Buon anno!
Dear brothers and sisters, Happy New Year!
Mentre il ritmo dei mesi si ripete,
while the rhythm of passing months repeats itself, the Lord invites us to renew our times by finally ushering in an era of peace and friendship among all people. Without this desire for the good, there would be no point in turning the pages of the calendar and filling our diaries. The Jubilee, which is about to end, has taught us how to cultivate hope for a new world. We do this by converting our hearts to God, so as to transform wrongs into forgiveness, pain into consolation, and resolutions of virtue into good works.
And out of politics, ODM party leader Dr. Oburu Oginga now says he will face off with President William Ruto at the ballot in the 2027 presidential election should the party decide to field a candidate for the top seat. Speaking in Diani, Dr. Oburu told potential candidates eyeing the ODM ticket to look elsewhere as the decision on the flag bearer is settled. And as Emmanuel Tona reports, the ODM leader has dismissed talk of selling the party to President Ruto.
His New Year message issued in Diani, Kilifi County elaborated ODM's plans for the high-octane political year 2026. ODM party leader Oburu Odinga saying the race to pick the ODM presidential flag bearer had already been settled and that he was the man to face off with President William Ruto should the party decide to field a candidate next year.
I want to make it absolutely clear that our constitution already has a presidential candidate for our party. And that presidential candidate is clearly stated in the constitution of our party. And it is the party leader. And it is the party leader speaking. I am the presidential candidate for ODM if ODM decides that it goes it alone.
The Siaya senator telling those salivating for the ODM ticket to get alternative ways to run.
So anybody who is preparing himself to go for presidential election in ODM, I think is misplaced. If they want to go for presidential candidacy, they should look for another party. But this particular party, the presidential candidacy is already decided.
Oburu added that the party will this year make a decision on whether or not it will join forces with UDA in the 2027 polls.
Before the end of the year, our party shall have known whether we are going it alone or we are going to go into coalition with other parties, and we shall have by that time known whom we are going with into the political coalition, if any.
The ODM leader also dismissed claims that there were plans to auction the party to President William Ruto.
So anybody who is saying ODM is sold to other parties is also daydreaming. ODM is strong and it is kicking, it is up, and it is not about to be sold. And it will never be sold. And if it is to be sold, I don't know at what price. This party is too big to be sold to anybody. So this party is not on sale. this party is not about to be sold.
Emmanuel To, Citizen TV.
Still on politics in the new year, President William Ruto has continued with his attacks on opposition leaders, accusing them of lacking ideas and relying on smear campaigns instead of offering concrete development plans. The president has challenged the opposition to match him on development track record, urging Kenyans not to be swayed by what he termed as empty political rhetoric. Melita Oletenges reports.
Bukungu Stadium, Kakamega County. Governor Fernandez Baraza Cup final became the latest platform for President William Ruto's offensive against the united opposition, dismissing them as unfit to lead, saying they lack a development track record and viable agenda to offer Kenyans.
Watafute sera, watafute mpango, watafute maono. One term Kasongo must go haitoshi. Hawa wananchi wanataka kujua barabara gani umejenga hapa Kakamega. Wanataka kujua wananchi wangapi umewaunganishia stima Kakamega.
The president also took a swipe at Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, questioning his presidential ambitions and accusing him of failing to deliver development even in his backyard.
Hata barabara ya kwenda kwake hajafanya. Sasa kama hajafanya ya kwenda kwake ya Kakamega atapanga sangapi? Mtu mwenye hana akili ya kupanga barabara ya kwao atapanga barabara ya kwenu? Huyo ni mtu bure sana bwana.
Mimi Mheshimiwa Rais hapa Kakamega nataka kuhakikishia ya kwamba Kakamega is locked. Usiwe na wasiwasi yote hapa. Wewe tafuta kura kule kwingine. Itaranya akiwa hapa uko sawa.
Selling his development agenda, President Ruto promised to upgrade Bukungu Stadium to a 25,000-seater capacity by the end of the year, including the installation of a canopy.
This is the last time tunacheza mpira katika kiwanja ambayo haina canopy, ambayo haijamalizika. Kabla ya Disemba, mimi nitakuwa nimekamilisha uwanja huu na itakuwa uwanja mkubwa sana katika Western Kenya.
Mtatembea na rais. Tufanye maendeleo. Tujenge stadium. Tujenge hospitali. Tujenge barabara.
President Ruto's remarks come amid heightened political activity as both government and opposition camps position themselves as 2027 draws ever closer. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
And on that note, we're taking a short break here on Tonight. When we come back, we have more stories, including this. Getting attacked by police for covering preparations for Echoes of War school play. Journalists tell their story on the perils of the job after this break. Welcome back. In a rare show of appreciation, police officers at the Kiamutugu police station in Kirinyaga County were on New Year's Day treated to a banquet by locals following a huge decline in crime previously witnessed in the area for many years, lauding the officers for being on the lookout, especially during the festive season when crime skyrockets. Locals treated the men and women in uniform to various delicacies and even baked a cake for them. And as Kamau Mwangi now reports, to further secure the area, the police appealed to the residents, largely drawn from Ngariama ward, to always come out as witnesses when crimes are committed to ensure perpetrators are kept at bay.
They showed up in their numbers at the Kiamutugu police station in Kirinyaga County, this time not to protest an injustice or report a crime, but to break bread with the men and women in uniform that they credit with the reducing crime rate in the area in the last year. The banquet, an initiative by locals, celebrated efforts by area OCS Helen To and her team for always lending an ear to the aggrieved, as well as always acting on intelligence provided by residents, as the two sides that rarely see eye to eye came together in 2025 to weed out criminal elements amongst them.
To our Madam Mia, the in charge of Kiamutugu Police Station, yeye ni excellent. Yeye ni namba moja. Madam, continue that way. Fanya ile kasi ni yako.
With time nilikuja nikarealize kwamba makandemi ina take a lot of time kumea na pia mandizi, na hiyo ndio kitu ambayo mnategemea huku. So with time nilianza kukubali hizo charge sheets na tukaendelea na I think tumejaribu kuondoa wale wahalifu. Wengi si wako jela.
However, to avoid the recurrence of crime by individuals previously arrested and released for lack of witnesses, Kirinyaga East Police Commandant Johnson Washira sought further cooperation between residents and the law enforcers.
Ukipatwa na shida nyumbani, kama kuna jirani amekufanyia kitu hata amekuiba, report office yetu iko wasi 24 hours. Ukikuja usiku, ukuja upeane report yako, unapokelewa, unahudumiwa. We are police officers wenye tunaserve watu.
Na kushukuru sana na kuheshimu sana kwa kutupatia a very good environment ya kufanyia kazi. Sisi hatukuangi hapa na shinda na askari.
Kama ni wizi, kama ni jambo lingine lolote la crime, kama ni assault, tunahitaji cooperation ya members of the public wawe wanachangia pia kwa kuwa witnesses wakati tuna investigate cases zetu tukipeleka kotini.
In yesteryears, Kiamutugu was notoriously known for crime, especially during the festive season when livestock and farm produce theft, as well as home break-ins, would skyrocket. Kama Mwangi, Citizen TV.
Residents of Kibiko in Kajiado County have urged political leaders to keep off the ongoing land dispute in the area, warning against using the matter for political mileage. They say leaders should instead focus on addressing their challenges with seriousness and urgency. Speaking during a food distribution drive organized by the county government in Kibiko, Kikonyukie area, residents said they have faced severe hardship since the festive season began. They noted that women and children have been the most affected, with many lacking basic necessities. They are now appealing to the president to intervene in resolving the prolonged disputes, which they say has led to increased hunger, insecurity and uncertainty in the area. The disputed land measures approximately 2,800 acres, with two factions laying claim to it, one supporting subdivision and the other opposed.
Nyinyi mutaenda kurudia shamba zenyu zile mulikula pesa ya wenyewe muuze, lakini Kibiko haiwezi kuuzwa, mulipe madeni.
Hatukukula vizuri kwa sababu Christmas yetu wakati ule ilikuwa tear gas kwa wamama, tear gas kwa vijana, tear gas kwa wasee, tear gas kwa watoto.
Tunataka ardhi yetu, hatuko siasa. Wakati wa siasa utafika na ni 2027.
Stand here today, we want to tell the government to act swiftly through the court system and to ensure that to act in the best interest of the beneficiaries.
And now to the continuing series, My Year by Citizen TV journalists. The events surrounding the preparations by Butere Girls drama students for a controversial play, Echoes of War, may have caught the attention of the country. But in its wake, it left scars to journalists covering those events in Nakuru. In April 2025, journalists in their line of duty were caught in the standoff between playwright and former Senator Cleophas Malala and police officers deployed to arrest him. The newsmen and women were assaulted and tear-gassed as Senator Malala attempted to access Kirobon Girls High School, where Butere Girls cast were hosted a day before their scheduled performance. Our Nakuru team of Marianne Nyambura, Ivan Sasiba and Robert Maina tell their story in this episode of My Year.
On standby.
Acha tu uwe. Acha uwe. Nanishika nimefanya makosa gani? Nifungulieni, nataka kuenda bana. Ama mniambie nimefanya makosa gani? Kuandika mchezo wa kuigiza.
As a journalist, you're always told to bear witness, to report, to remain calm, but nothing prepares you for what we experienced as journalists on 9th April 2025.
I'm on standby.
Acha tu uwe. Acha uwe.
Nilikuwa Somali hii tu ndio mnanipiga nayo. Twende huko kwingine. Twende kwenye huko. Tuko live na nini? Kujeni huko hivi.
It was an ordinary day. We went about our duties. At around 7 p.m. I got a call that a standoff had ensued between police officers and Echoes of War playwright Cleophas Malala at Kirobon Girls High School. And so after talking to our editors, we decided that we're going to cover that story. So we rushed to the scene.
Basi mwendo wa saa moja unusu hivi tukaona maafisa usalama wakaongezeka hadi kamanda wa eneo hilo la Rongai kwa katuo pia akaja, wale wa kitengo cha ujasusi pia wakaongezeka, kukawa na magari zaidi na maafisa wakawa pia wameongezeka zaidi ya 20 wote wakiwa wanamsubiri Malala. Sasa hapo ndo tulijua kwamba pengine huenda kuwe na mfurugano kati yao na hilo gari la Malala.
Wakati nilikimbilia ile microphone nikirudi ndio nilipata afisa moja ambaye ni wa kitengo cha DCI hapa Nakuru, na ni afisa ambaye kabisa tunamjua. Nikapata akipeana maelekezo ya vile ambavyo wanahabari wanafaa kukabiliwa kwa nguvu ili kuhakikisha kwamba yule Cleophas Malala ameweza kutolewa kwenye lile gari pasi wanahabari kupata zile picha. Na ndipo nikakimbia kwenda kuambia wenzangu kuwa mahali hapa si pazuri. Na hapo ndiyo wakanotice, wakagundua kumbe kati yetu kwenye giza kuna mmoja ambaye ameweza kupata kile ambacho wamejadiliana. Na hapo ndipo nilipatikana na nikapigwa, na ni vibaya manake sikuwahi fikiria kwamba askari ambaye anajua kabisa huyu ni mwanahabari anaweza kukudhulumu kwa kiasi kile, manake alinipiga.
For a few minutes to 8 p.m., that's when police officers began lobbing tear gas canisters at us as if we were the enemies.
Dana tuchukue bana. Dana.
Ilipofika giza, marote wakati wa giza ndio wale wa matendo mabaya wote huchukulia nafasi ya kutekeleza kile ambacho wametaka kufanya kwa wakati huo. Kwa hivyo ilipofika mwendo wa saa mbili unusu hapo ndio tuliona tatizo. Tukaona hapo maafisa wa usalama wakaanza sasa ile vita tu ya dahiri kwa kila mtu aliyekuwa pale, kupiga, kumtorosha. Wengine tukasalia pale, tukasema okay, hapa hatuondoki, tuko kazi. Na iwapo kupigwa basi hatuna budi, tutapigwa hapa, hatuondoki.
After briefing my editors, of course, about the situation, we agreed that we're going to cover that story live at 9 o'clock on JKL. When we were just almost going live, that's when now they charged towards us to the point where they were lobbing tear gas canisters after every 2 seconds, lobbing tear gas canisters at journalists every 2 seconds. I remember at one point during the 9 p.m. news, I was forced to take cover in a ditch as police lobbed tear gas canisters, forcing us further away from the school. Well, what transpired is that Cleophas Malala, who's the former Kakamega senator. My voice was shaky. I almost fell and all I could utter was Jesus. In the process, I got hit by a tear gas canister.
Marian! Nimekuwa nikifanya coverage hapa katika kaunti ya Nakuru maandamano mengi. Kuanzia yale maandamano ya finance bill, maandamano ya Sabasaba, ambapo wanahabari wamekuwa katika mstari wa mbele wakishirikiana na maafisa wa polisi. Kumekuwa na ushirikiano mwema, lakini pale Kirobon yale ambayo niliona hakukuwa na raia ambao kwa kawaida ndio ambao hufurushwa na hawa maafisa wa polisi. Na so hiyo siku sisi kama wanahabari, mimi nikiwa mmoja wao, sisi ndiye tulikuwa tunalengwa.
Shika. What I witnessed that day was unity. In that moment, it didn't matter which media house you represented. We were all journalists.
Kutokana na hali iliyokuwa ile, tuliona kwamba pengine walituzidi, walitumia vitoa machozi wakatupiga wengine hadi hata nakumbuka at some point nikiondoka pale, tukiondolewa sasa hapo hiyo baada ya vita kuzidi, na nikaona wenzetu wameumizwa 5, mimi nikiwa mmoja wao, tukafika 6. Tukaona hapa hivi shida ipo, na hii shida kuitatua. Ni giza, ni wakati wenye haueleweki, itabidi tuondoke.
Now joined by our very own Marianne Nyambura, who is in the thick of things. Marianne, what's the latest?
Even after being hit by a tear gas canister, I found the courage to report just 30 minutes later. Still determined to inform our audience about the unfolding events at Kirobon Girls High School, because that is my duty, to inform no matter the cost. A total of 6 journalists were assaulted that night. I was among them, and the experience for me, that trauma, carrying that trauma over time, has really affected all of us.
Ni matukio ambayo pengine anasalia katika vichwani vyetu na haiwezi kuondoka useme kwamba pengine utasahau. Haya ni mambo ambayo tutasalia kwa kichwa. Yale mambo ambao useme kwamba pengine kwa miaka ijayo ni mambo ambayo tutakuwa tukizungumzia kwamba siku hii kwa kutafuta pengine uhuru wa wanahabari, uhuru wa kutangaza, uhuru wa kujieleza, tulipitia mambo kama haya.
Demos in Mombasa with no tear gas, no running battles, and the bringing down of a condemned building in the coastal city. Another reporter's account after the break. Welcome back, and we continue with the My Year series. The June 2025 demos in Mombasa reshaped Kenya's civic space as there was no tear gas, no running battles in those demonstrations, with the police guiding the flow. The coastal city was also at the center of national attention when a controlled explosion was carried out, bringing down a condemned building at the Kona Kilifi area as the country watched. In our segment My Year tonight, Francis Mtalaki looks back at the 2 defining moments that stood out in the coastal city of Mombasa.
Like any other working day, I woke up very early in the morning to go to work. But the June 25th, 2025 protest was not just another day on the assignment desks. From the moment I stepped out, there was a feeling in the air, something was about to happen. I was welcoming to the city was very quiet, and by mid-morning, that feeling had a face, a voice, and a generation, the Gen Z protest. And this protest began at Moi Avenue at Mapembeni area. The youth had gathered very early. From Moi Avenue, where the protests began, they head all the way to the Fontanella roundabout, and quickly becoming one of the largest protests in Mombasa that we've ever witnessed. There were chants, footsteps, whistles, and the Gen Z were lying on the ground with the Kenyan flag and also praying for those who had lost their lives as a result of the June 25th of 2024. What stood out most was not the noise, but the order. There was no tear gas, no running battles, and also no chaos. Police officers walked alongside the demonstrators, guiding them through the routes that were agreed upon, and keeping open lines of communication. You could find police officers at the middle of the demonstrations. It was a scene rarely witnessed in protest history. Police giving directions, crowd responding calmly. And I remember as we were moving all the way to Kenyatta Avenue, as we were approaching Sabasaba, the crowds were building, and those who are on the sides also joining the protesters. And on the sidelines, there are those young men who are also trying to control those who had any bad intention, could not get in and infiltrate demonstrations. At Sabasaba, that's where we spent much of the time, because you'd find the police were there trying to control the crowd and also trying to guide them so that they can be able to finish the demos quickly. But the demonstrators kept calm and telling the police that, you know, this is our day, we need to express ourselves.
Najivunia na maandamano. Maandamano ya leo ni amani. Security imetulia, vijana wametulia, wanapata hii moja. Tunaandamana tu, hakuna vita na mtu.
Maandamano ya leo ni amani, na ambao wanataka kutuma guns
wanasiasa wa Mombasa, mkiwatuma tutapambana na wao. We are very peaceful, hatuja kuja kuharibu mali ya watu, hata ukiangalia nyuma vijana wako na amani.
Now from Sabasaba area, now we moved all the way to Baxton area before coming back to this side of the city again, joining back to Diga Road. In the evening, we witnessed a group of youth who wanted to infiltrate, and the same demonstrators, the JNC, kept their cool and saying that hatuko na wao wale, and the police took charge, chased them away, and I remember we went now to Nkrumah Road, all the way to the county government of Mombasa offices, and at State House roundabout, that is where the demonstrations come to an end.
Tumekuja hapa kwa county commissioner ili atuelezee assurance kutoka kwa serikali.
Tungeomba vile tumetoka kutoka asubuhi, tumefanya maandamano, tutaki wafanyakazi wa Mombasa waumizwe, so tungependa tumalizie hapa na kila mtu aweze kwenda nyumbani. Nipata hiyo memorandum.
Thank the media who are covering us in Mombasa. Pia, I want to thank the police who have been working with us since morning. Wametufikisha vizuri. They have let us express ourselves as young people of Mombasa.
Another major incident that hit the headlines was about the Mombasa's controlled demolition, and the Kenya Defence Forces were the center from the planning side, in collaboration with the county government of Mombasa, the security apparatus on the ground. For more than 48 hours, residents living around Konakilifi area were ordered to leave. Houses were locked, the shops were shut, and the streets were sealed off around that area. Patients were evacuated because the building was just close to the Coast General Hospital. This wasn't just another demolition. It was a high-risk operation.
Piga mabomu, watu wote wahame mpaka bridge ifungwe salala. Nini hii balai? Mpaka markiti mfunge, la ilaha illallah, haijatokea ulimwengu wote.
Watu wote will have to vacate. Hii haitodhuru nyumba yako, lakini ule mtikiso ambao kwamba utakao kuweko utasababisha athari ya masikio yako. Kila ukiwa karibu, wale wanaofanya kazi hii wanavaa vitu ambao kwamba vinawastiri na sio pamba ukasema kwa unaenda kujieka.
It appears to me that the police and security apparatus led by KDF had every step calculated, every second was planned as to how they are going to conduct this controlled demolition. We are being told that it will be brought down at 10 a.m., it went to 10:30, and then some minutes to 1 p.m. we received a phone call from one of the security operators telling us now a countdown in less than 10 minutes. The last person who was doing that job has already left that place. So after a few minutes again, 2 minutes, and the shock of many who are also covering this story, I remember. We could not imagine the magnitude the which this building was brought down, and we saw it coming down slowly. Even we journalists, some of us were caught unawares. The dust and the rubble were coming to that end, so that tells you the magnitude of this operation. We now went to the ground to witness what had really happened for Mombasa. From where I sit, it was a reminder of how fragile urban spaces can be. As we reflect on these moments at the close of the year, on behalf of our entire team, we wish you a happy festive season and a prosperous, peaceful 2026. I am Francis Mtalaki in Mombasa.
And staying with my year, in their line of duty, our reporters spend grueling hours collecting the news that you get to watch from the comfort of your homes. But the job is never easy. It sometimes gets a little tiresome, leading to grammatical errors, difficulty in pronunciation of words, among others, which cause unintentional mistakes that we rarely see in the end product. Our reporter Emmanuel Toh, who leads the mistakes department, compiled this in the bloopers of 2025.
Rais William Ruto ameweka wazi ripoti ya utendakazi wa ripoti ya utendakazi. Kena. Kidogo. Ama kuja unisaidie kidogo. Nikupatie.
As pressure mounts, it's still.
It's tough.
Trakta hizi mpya zimebadilisha mkondo. Trakta hizi mpya zimebadilisha kilimo na
uko sawa. Kuna kitu ulisema.
Trakta hizi mpya zimebadilisha kilimo na wengi wamekumbatia sasa wakazi.
Na hiyo pesa tutafika Singapore kweli.
Kulingana na union
pole bwana.
As President William Ruto highlight. Ndogo, spite tu.
Boss, we toka hapo. Haya.
Ndio mvua sawa.
Could this have been handled better? Could it have been handled in a more humane way? Pia wanaitaka serikali kuhakikisha ya kwamba ikiwa naibu wa Rais William mbona nasemanga Ruto sawa.
Sasa wameapa kwamba watashirikiana ili kumng'atua Rais William Ruto. Anza.
How do I look? Ili kuhakikisha kwamba wote wako na afya hiya. Kitu unasoma dakika moja inakuchanganya.
Alipata nguvu ya kupona na pia naenda wapi?
Mombasa.
Kituo cha Thimlisho Inga ambapo utamaduni wa Ujaluo imekita mikambi.
Demonstrators vowed ngoja. Haya nazidi kuathiri. Piteni kwanza.
The social impact of the
nimeandika nane but I wanted confirmation.
The shrinking and which sharply erased. Acha niende na ile ingine imekata.
Indeed, sometimes a tech will refuse. Takata kabisa. At least in the field, you get a chance to have a second take. Here in studio, you don't. But for now, we take a short break. We're back in a moment. Now in sports, President William Ruto has assured residents of Kakamega County that the construction of Bukhungu Stadium will be completed by December 2026, which is this year. In readiness for the AFCON 2027, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania will co-host the 36th edition of the tournament. The president was speaking at the 4th edition of the Governor's Cup held at Bukhungu Stadium in Kakamega County. Kakamega Governor Dr. Fernandez Baraza noted that the tournament plays a critical role in nurturing grassroots talent and strengthening sports development in the county. In the men's final, Lugusi FC from Malava emerged champions after edging out Mbabo FC from Huisero by a solitary goal.
President William Ruto spent the first day of the year in sporting action at the Governor's Cup in Kakamega, held at Bukhungu Stadium. The 4th edition of the tournament produced new champions, with the Lugusi FC from Malava edging out Mbabo FC to pocket 2 million shillings. In the ladies category, Promised Ladies from Mumias East were crowned champions after beating Shirere 1-0 to take home 1.5 million shillings. Taking to the stage, the president assured football enthusiasts that Bukhungu Stadium will be among the venues set to host the continent during the 2027 AFCON.
Uwanja huu ambao tunashirikiana nawe najua itakamilika
by July this year, ili mwaka wa 2027 tuwe pia mojawapo ya viwanja ambazo zinakuwa host wa African Cup of Nations. Wapi makofi ya rais?
Lakini mimi nataka niwaeleze, this is the last time tunacheza mpira katika kiwanja ambayo haina canopy, ambayo haijamalizika. Kabla ya Disemba mimi nitakuwa nimekamilisha uwanja huu na itakuwa uwanja mkubwa sana katika Western Kenya. Ninyi mnanielewa? This will be a 25,000 seater stadium.
The president acknowledged that the completion of Bohungu Stadium, but assured residents that the contractor has been put on notice to fast track the construction works.
Na tayari nimempatia ilani yule contractor. Nimemwambia asipotengeneza hii haraka, mimi nitamwambia aende atafute kazi nyingine. Tunaelewana? Kwa hivyo, I have committed 1.4 billion shillings to complete this stadium.
President Ruto further hailed the region for producing top football players on continental and global football platforms. Steve Shitera, Citizen Sports, Bohungu, Kakamega.
The Sunshine Development Tour East Africa's Swing has announced an expanded calendar for Season 2 that will take place from April 2026 to January 2027. Season 2 of the tour will feature 14 events across East Africa, building on the successful and momentum of Season 1. The tour's vision is to offer professional and elite amateur golfers of either gender consistent and competitive tournaments ratified by the official World Golf Ranking and World Amateur Golf Ranking. Season 2 will tee off with a qualifying school scheduled for April 2026 at Thika Greens Golf Resort, where the top 10 finishers will earn invitations to compete at the Sunshine Tour final stage qualifier in South Africa. And AFCON defending champions Ivory Coast will face Burkina Faso in the round of 16 in Morocco. Tanzania and Sudan have been paired with giants Morocco and Senegal in the other round of 16 ties, which will start on Saturday.
Chance for the shot and the foul! And he's picked up the pieces and he scrambled it home. Gabon. That's a great pass. A chance here for Sa to pull one back. Beautifully worked goal. And it comes in a powerful air. And there it is. A free header. And as you were saying, Badu, the gas tank seems empty. Fancy header!